Hi, Muriel. I can.
I can't hear you.
There we go.
Okay, how is that? Is that audible? And also, who are on Zoom, remember to mute your microphone if you're not speaking. Otherwise, we get a lot of feedback back and forth. So thank you on that. Also, let's see, this is interesting. The Dalton paper, this is the local paper here, and on the obituaries page here, there's my picture right there. So I want to just clear this up that the rumors of my death are greatly exaggerated once again. So thank you for that. All right. So what I'd like to do today, okay, just checking out, how's the volume? Can you hear me okay on Zoom? Sound good? Okay, good. Thank you. Great. I'd like to cover a little bit about how to get the emotion into your fingers and specifically the different techniques that can be used to make that happen. And also I'd like to take questions from everyone here, and we can go in any direction we want to during this hour. So a lot of different things that we can cover, both on the guitar and the harp guitar. So I'll start off just by playing a couple of tunes, and then I'll start with some questions, and then we'll roll into some of the techniques that can make that happen. Well, I'll grab my harp guitar and start with one that uses a whole bunch of techniques at once. So this is one that I call Night Lights. And I'm playing it here on the 20-string harp guitar. So it has both steel and nylon strings on this one.
Thank you. Well, part of the reason why there's so much going on in that tune is I wrote it as a trio and figured out how to play all three parts at once. So I wrote it and recorded it on the Nightlight Daylight CD as in three parts. And then since I wanted to play it in concert, I was wondering, well, I wonder if I can do this accompaniment part and grab the melody. And I'd say, well, I wonder if I can grab the bass. And then it went on from there. And kind of figured it out. And when you do that, sometimes you end up leaving some parts out, and you find out which parts you can leave out that you don't miss because you're too busy listening to the other parts. And so that's part of the trick of doing that, combining parts. And there's quite a few tunes that kind of came about that way. I wrote for several instruments and then just wanted to play myself, and so it was just kind of a practical thing and sort of fun to work it out. But in the context of doing that, I was playing a harmonic technique that I worked out, and I'll show it to you if you're interested. So I'm doing one harmonic and two natural notes there, and working that in different combinations. But in the process, I'm also paying attention to the tone that's coming out. I'm listening to the sound. I'm connecting the notes where they need to be connected. I'm changing something about the music as I'm going. That's how I'm doing the phrasing. So I'm changing the volume a little bit, or the tone a little bit, or the tempo a little bit. So I'm always conscious of what it is I'm changing. And that's where I get the emotion out of it. And that was really from listening to my heroes play. I just filmed a new program for TrueFire called Guitar Heroes. And it will be released in about 3 months, I believe. And I realized in the process of doing that all of my guitar heroes had a lot of these musical concepts in common, even though they were playing all different styles. So Doc Watson was my first hero, and mostly flat picking and country finger picking. And one thing I was drawn to is rich tone. It's how did he get that character, the depth of character in his music, and a lot of it is the warmth of his tone. And likewise, I was attracted to the music of Christopher Parkening, classical guitarist, and there again it was his tone and his phrasing, and it turns out that he had kind of a similar approach to the tone, and the music of Pat Metheny. So electric guitar, jazz, really fusion jazz. And he really sculpted combining that chorus sound with the reverb sound to come up with his own tone and connected the notes in just a beautiful way. So again, it's the tone that's a big part of that. But all of them, used all those different aspects of music in their playing.
Well, before I get into, all that in detail, do you have any questions? And especially about this tune that I call Nightlights. So any questions off the bat?
What key was in it?
Say that again?
What was that key? What was the song key? Like, what key was the song in?
I think you may have to take your mask off.
Oh,
What
sorry.
key was in the end?
What key was it in? Okay, that is a very good question. The key is, for me, I'm playing it out of an A minor position, but it's actually in B minor because this harp guitar is tuned up a whole step. So it's as though you had a capo on the second fret. So that actually is a very good question.
You turned it up almost.
Yeah, up a whole step. And that's because this was designed to fit in the overhead bin of an airplane.
Yeah, I mean, you built it.
Yeah, this was built by Mike Doolin in Portland, Oregon.
Cool.
And I just was playing a concert in Portland, and I was just bemoaning that I had this harp guitar at home, and I was never learning to play it because I couldn't take it on the road. It was too big. And he said, well, I'm a guitar builder. I'll build you one that you can take on the road with you to learn to play. So it was originally just going to be a practice harp guitar. And then he ended up building, this Rolls Royce of a harp guitar. And by the end of the day, I said, well, can you put this on? Can you create some way I could change the pitch of that sub basses? So it was his idea to come up with these half step tuners then. The first one he made had half step tuners at the back. And then this is the first harp guitar I know of with the half step tuners over the top. And then I asked if we could make it with nylon strings instead of steel so that it wouldn't wear away my fingernails. And then so it turned out that it had this whole different tone from regular harp guitar. So it sounds more like a lute with the nylon strings and also tuned up a whole step. And so and then I asked, well, can you put 7 sub basses instead of 6? Because I always want one more sub bass. And then for this guitar, I asked, well, can you add super trebles in steel so that I can expand the range? So it kept on growing. So it turned into this instrument. So it's really been nice to express in ways that I was looking for. I was kind of looking for more of a range than my guitar had.
I have a question on Zoom, Muriel.
Yes.
If you could run through a couple of measures in the first chord to show them what you're doing with your right hand.
Okay, all right. This is, if you want to take your guitars out, I can show you. I'll show this on a regular guitar so you don't have to put a capo on the second fret. Okay. So, go ahead, take your guitar out. And the technique, I'll do it just on open string. And the first part of this, it was based off of something that I learned from Chet Atkins. And Chet showed me this lick. And I'd never seen or heard anything like that before. So he's doing one harmonic and one natural note. So it makes it sound like you're playing twice as many harmonics as you actually are. So it's kind of a little trick in that way. So to do that, you do a harmonic by touching the 12th fret with your index finger and you pluck behind with a thumb. All right, so that's how I'm getting that. So just barely touch there and pluck behind with the thumb. Now the ring finger is hanging up right about over the 3rd string. So we just play the 3rd string normal. It's up with a ring finger. So you've got a harmonic and then a normal note. And then do the same thing to the next string. Harmonic on the 5th string, natural note on the 2nd, harmonic on the 4th string, natural note on the 1st string. So it's one harmonic, one natural note. And remember the harmonic you touch with the index and plug behind with a thumb. Like that, that's it. And then after that, add that index finger. And so what I'm doing on that is a little bit different. I'm expanding that technique is I'm doing, I'm starting on the fifth string, and I'm doing a harmonic on the fifth string, and then I'm playing 2 notes with my fingers. I'm playing middle finger on the 3rd string, ring finger on the 2nd string. So I've got harmonic, middle finger, ring finger. That's that little set of 3. And then I'm moving to the next set of strings, and then I'm going to the 4th string harmonic, and then I'm reversing the order. Middle, 1st string, 2nd string. So that's the 4th string harmonic, 1st string, and then 2nd string. So I've got, so maybe take a little practice to get that part to happen. And then I'm doing the same thing that I just did, except that I'm going for the 3rd string harmonic, and then the same 2 strings I played before. 3rd string harmonic, 1st and 2nd strings. And then I'm even going to the 2nd string harmonic, and then with my fingers playing the 1st and 2nd string. So the first time I play the 2nd string is a harmonic, and then when I double back, it's just with regular natural notes. So the whole thing there is 5th string harmonic, 3rd string 2nd, 4th string harmonic, 1st string 2nd, 3rd string harmonic, 1st, 2nd, 2nd string harmonic, 1st string 2nd.
Which is the first string?
So the 1st string is played with a ring finger every time.
What do you consider? I don't think I've been doing it that way all along. To 10 years too late now, I guess.
Yeah. So it's, yeah. Each time I'm playing the 1st string with a ring finger. Yeah. So. And so now when I make a chord, the middle point of my string is no longer at the 12th fret if I'm fingered someplace. So I have to move my harmonic note to the same the same number of frets that I'm fretted. So if I'm fretted on the 2nd fret, I've got to now move up to the 14th fret to touch that spot. And then if I'm on the 4th fret, I've got to move up 2 more frets. And then, so that's why my right hand is moving around, because it's trying to get the halfway point of those strings. So that's how I get that. So in slow motion. And to double back, I'm just doing 1 harmonic and 1 note. That's just the last 2 bits of that. So so that part is a little complicated, right? And so once I've got that happening, then to add the melody on top. So I'll pause that pattern for a moment and then resume it. Grab the melody notes, resume the pattern. And you don't really miss that pattern, right? Because your ear is hanging on to those melody notes. Right. So it took a while to realize that I didn't have to play every single one, and I can make life a little easier for myself.
Muriel?
Yes, question?
It's Tom. I was just watching the screen here, and I see people trying to do that, and I've got your CD or your True Fire course, and the way that I learned it the first time, because I tried with a fretted pattern, it's so much easier to just try to get down the basic right hand with open strings or.
Yes. That's a really good point. Yeah, I would work just the right hand pattern with open strings before adding the chord. Because adding the chord isn't that hard once you've got the pattern of the right hand. pattern with the right hand is the one that takes a while in order for it to become natural. And so that's when I like to arrange a tune or compose a tune, I like to be kind of like an inventor and try to figure out a way to get the sound I'm hearing or get the feeling I'm hearing by myself. And so I lots of times come up with my own techniques, and 9 times out of 10 or more, it's techniques that people have been doing for decades or centuries. But every now and then I'll come up with one that I don't see other people doing. And so this is one that I have a pattern that I have not seen other people do. So it'll just be you and me doing this, right? So, yes. Right, yeah, just me for a while. And I do have, I teach it on my True Fire course, the 50 right-hand techniques. And I also have a free tutorial on View from Space, which uses the same pattern on my YouTube channel. So either one, you can kind of practice with that. You want to try to get that down. So it's kind of fun. It adds a little kind of sparkle, like sparkly stars to the feel and the sound. Do we have any other questions here?
I know you do a lot of styles,
Yeah.
but so far, so different, Doc Watson. You still do some Doc Watson?
I do a lot of different styles, and yeah, Doc Watson was my big hero, and as I mentioned, I learned this tune from Doc, from the Doc Watson album. Memphis Blues. Finally got a chance to play it for him. Second time, I usually do it like this. So he laughed. He said, "Oh, you're playing my part and Muriel's part at the same time." I was just playing what I heard on the album. Here we go. Here, both parts.
Wow. Some of them I know Doc Watson. He's blind.
He's blind, and when I was a kid, I was thinking, how will I ever be able to play with emotion like Doc when I have sight, and I have all the distractions of the visual world. And, he could just get into the oral world, just listening and emoting. And I thought, wow, I'll just never be able to play with the emotion of Doc Watson.
He wanted to know that song. Did he sing that? I don't remember. Did he sing that song?
Which one?
Son, you just played. Did Doc sing?
I don't think Doc sang. That was all instrumental. That was.
He sang weird singer.
Yeah, I know. His voice is really different, and it took me a while to gravitate to it, because I hadn't really heard country singing, growing up in the North, like that, and eventually did get to like that roughness of the voice.
He come to Dalton High School up here after Muriel died. Right, Muriel.
Yeah, Merle had passed away. His son Merle.
Jack, somebody played with me.
Yeah, Jack played with him, and when after Doc's son had passed away, and I've gotten to know Doc a little bit, and Doc told me that he would listen to my music to help him to go to sleep at night. And, my music wasn't really intended for that.
That was a compliment.
But, so I thought, well, I'll record an album of all tunes that Doc can listen to while he goes to sleep. And so that was the idea behind the Arioso album. And also for that album, I thought, well, I'll write a song for Doc and his wife, Rosalie. And so I thought I'll write an old-fashioned waltz about an old couple's love. And I have just performed this recently. I wrote some lyrics for it. Do you want me to do the lyrics too?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, all right. So I'll play it instrumental and then with the lyrics. And so I recorded this on Doc's, the album for Doc, the Arioso. So in trying to capture, how do you do a kind of an old-fashioned waltz? I had it going and then I played it for Chet Atkins. And Chet said, well, why don't you write a little intro for it? And so then I thought, okay, well, I'll write a little intro, use some of those harmonics I learned from Chet. So I kind of went like this. Let me just make sure to check the tuning. So kind of like little bits of the melody kind of slow down. And then I'll lay into this real waltz feel. Now listen to how I'm connecting the notes. Sometimes I change that around a little bit. I might phrase it a little bit differently each time. So I'm thinking as a singer, I'm thinking if I'm singing it, maybe I might do it. Her name is Rosalie, sweet as a rose to me, and every rose I see reminds me of her. My precious Rosalie, lips soft as petals in spring, whispering, come to me, let me hold you again in my arms. Sweetest of flowers, this love that is ours, ever beside me, always to guide me like the brightest of stars. And the older we grow, the more that I know, there is no other. Each day I discover a new way to show that all that I'll ever need are the arms of my Rosalie, the one that I truly adore. And all that I'll ever need are the arms of my Rosalie, the one that I love. And I couldn't figure out how to sing that because the melody was so high. What I'm actually doing, I'm singing the harmony part and letting my guitar play the melody. And so that's the way I finally did. I tried capoing it, but I love that key of G in a D tuning, the way it works for the guitar. So I didn't want to, I tried with changing the whole key, and the guitar didn't sound as beautiful. So that's why I finally came up with. But eventually I've got to find someone to sing the other part and just do it as a duet. So I think that's the real solution. And also Paul, my friend Paul Kraft, I got together with him and he wrote another verse. There's actually another verse to it that he wrote. And he changed just a couple of words in it that I had. The rest is this section. The rest was kind of my idea for an old-fashioned kind of feel. But I'd like to talk now about connecting the notes. So that's one thing that I do a lot on this one is I have a lot of attention with connecting the notes so it's not choppy. And there's a lot of ways to do that. And that's one part of the expression in it, how to have it come across that way. But before I do that, any other questions about this tune or? Okay, good. All right, I'm going to go back to normal tuning, since that's where you are. And I was just dropped deep. Okay, so if I'm having my notes going up, what I'm doing is after so I'm just going to go maybe C, and my melody's going to go up to an F and then a G. When I play that G note, I'm keeping that index finger down squarely. So I'm not letting go of it before I play this note. Oh, yeah.
You got a long little body.
No, my hands are actually very, very small.
I don't know how you
Yeah.
can reach from there.
So what I do is I relax my hand and allow them to fall. And also, the other thing I do is I bring my elbow forward sometimes. Sometimes just bringing the elbow forward opens it up and allows me to reach things I can't reach otherwise. And sometimes I'm playing just on the very tips of those fingers. So there's a couple of things that I can do, and I have to, figure out how I can make these stretches because my hands are so small, right? And part of it is just relaxing into it and allowing them to extend. And sometimes when they do that, see how this pinky is like all the way stretched out in order to make that, right. So it's not like that. It's just all the way at the very end. Yeah, so there's, everyone's got different fingers and everyone finds a way. So you find the way that you can make the music and play the notes that you want to play. And sometimes it takes a little ingenuity figuring out how to get the fingers to go there. Yeah, so you say, yeah, you're nodding. You found different ways? Yeah. Yes, so you find your way to do the art that you want to do, right? So that's something, as I'm going, I'm leaving the fingers down that I can leave down, all right? So I'm kind of like walking around like a spider, like this, right? I'm kind of like moving something, keeping that other thing down, right? There's always something down when I'm moving around, right? My tune Arioso that I play, I do that a lot with that thing, scrunch, stretch, scrunch, stretch, right? So it's not leaping from one finger position to another. It's trying to leave down the fingers that I can leave down, right? Now that's the other thing is setting up the fingers in time when you're coming back down. So if I'm going to be playing. So if I'm walking from this D down to a C, I make sure to set it squarely down before I let go of that note. So I'm gonna set down all the fingers that I need on that particular string before I let go of the finger. So if it's a chromatic scale, right, I've set down all the fingers squarely that I need, and I get them kind of close to the fret. That way I don't have to push down so hard. So if I'm close to the fret, I have everything set down, then that's another way to connect those notes. And other times, if I've got a leap that I'm going to, you know, up there, instead of just letting go and going there, I will slide a finger, whether I hear the slide the whole way or just hear a little bit of just a little bit of the slide that connects that note. So it's not always a big, you know, big slide, but you hear just a little bit of that note sliding into the next. And so when I can leave a finger down and slide it into, I'll do that. So that's different places in the music that I'll try to connect it in different ways. Now, on the other hand, sometimes I don't want to connect the notes. Sometimes I want a little staccato or a little detached. And they don't have to be either legato or staccato. There's not just two ways. There's lots of different variations, how long I want to hold those. So sometimes I want them real short, and sometimes I want them just detached right there. Okay, I want them a little detached because I want it playful and kind of funny in a way, right? So I want to get that little playful, funny feel. And so those are connected and those two are not. So I decide which ones I want to connect. Right? So that's thinking like a listener. So how would I want to hear this? And then I try to work it out so that I can create it that way. And it's also a way that I'm kind of playing with my guitar as I'm performing, right? Or as I'm playing my tune. That I'm listening to what's coming back and I'm being amused by it, right? And I'm saying, oh, that's kind of fun. And then say, okay, maybe that wants to go there. Maybe that wants to go there. And that's the way I play. And it's also the way I compose. So if I'm listening to something, oh, maybe that'll go there. Oh, yeah, that'll be fun.
What's the other way to do it? I'm getting. Is there like another way people compose? You know what I'm saying?
That's a great way to compose, but yeah. There are actually lots and lots of ways to compose, and some of the music composes itself in different ways. Yeah. So sometimes I have a mission that I want to do, like this is a little etude I wrote for my students, and I wanted to write it not in 3/4 or 4/4, but 5/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I thought, what would Bob do if we were writing 5/8? Okay, so that's written a whole different way. But again, I am still listening to what it wants to do. So yeah, you're right. That is kind of what other way to write.
Right? You're not technically an audio slave, right?
Yeah, you're not.
You're not free.
Yeah, you're not technically an audience member, but you are the audience of your music. And as you're playing it or as you're composing it, it's doing it kind of the same way. Well, let me pull up, since we are talking about Doc Watson, I'll pull up this guitar here. And then after I do this, I'm going to ask each of you over here to just tell me your name and what you might like to get out of this workshop, or if you have a specific question, just to make sure that I'm making you all happy over there, you in the quiet area. Okay. Okay, so now this is a steel string guitar, and when I saw Doc Watson play for the first time, I was like watching, okay, how is he doing that? How is he getting that depth of character, that thing that just grabs me when he plays? And one thing I noticed is that he's using a lot of biceps when he plays. I see his biceps move, right? And I was thinking of guitar as the wrist, right? And so I was, watching this, and so, okay, well, he's pushing with the whole arm like this. And I started doing that. You know what? It sounds more like you mean it when you use that whole thing. Yeah, yes, I mean it, right? And so, and when I was playing like, so this is with the wrist. When Doc plays it, he plays it with a stiff arm, like this, with a whole, from the elbow, really. So it has, it has a certain depth to it, doesn't it? Maybe not as much as you would if I were playing, if I were flat picking all the time. So I don't flat pick that often now. But and then another thing that I know is that he has a sort of rolling tempo when he does the accompaniments. And I watched and listened to what he was doing. And the thing I picked up is that when he's kind of rolling along so after the bass note, he's doing an upstroke in the middle of his strings, and then a quick light down, and then the next upstroke is around the first string. So he's doing his upstroke in two different spots. And so I tried that. So the bass up in the middle, strum, the upstroke on the first string. So you can try this. So you bass, a little up in the middle, and that upstroke is just your hand coming up after you've done that down. It's just a grab a couple strings on its way up, right? And then the little downstroke is like you're trying to get a fly off your big pinky knuckle, right? Just a little whip like that, and light. So you kind of hold your pick a little bit lightly there. And then the last up is just like the first string on its way up. So it's if you do it just as part of the what your hand is doing naturally anyway, it's just a matter of whether you catch the string or not, then it's much more natural, it's easy to play. But a lot of that, once again, is paying attention to detail, and that's what I'm, it's going to be my main flag today. Pay attention to detail, right? And find out not what notes they're playing, but how are they playing those notes? What is it about that music that's grabbing you? And for each player and each style of music, it can be something different. And those are a couple of things that I picked up from Doc. And later on, when I hung around backstage with Bill Monroe's rhythm guitar player, Wayne Lewis, he showed me how he was doing, not only those cool runs that he was doing, he was doing these runs that were kind of pushing the band up. These really cool runs. He does this little stutter at the beginning. What he does is he's going across a string and he's taking the pick and putting it at an angle going down to the left, right? So that the pick is angled down to the left. He's pushing down to the left. And so he's doing like a rest stroke. So after the pick plays that sixth string, it's resting on the fifth string, right? And so if he's doing the Lester flat run, just the regular G run, instead of plucking each of those individually, he's doing it all with one downstroke. So he's doing one downstroke, hammer on, pull off, and then, so it's just one motion going down. So all in one shot. And then the way he's getting up to those C's, he's kind of, isn't that cool? And it's just that little detail just propels the band, that little thing. So he's just gliding across two strings, right? Walking, and then the rest of them are just regular downstroke, still at an angle towards your left foot, right? So that's how he gets the depth of that. And so that in combination with what Doc was doing, and when Doc plays, it seems like it's a little bit at that angle sometimes too, that warm angle. Yes, question.
Did he switch his pick location? Did he flip the point around his part?
Oh, Doc played with the normal part of the pick,
Okay.
but I tried a bunch of picks and I found that one that works best for me, that I get that's easiest to play. It's got enough flex where it's easy to play, but it's thick enough so that I get a warm sound. Is the Jim Dunlop black pick, and when I saw Doc, he was using the same pick, Jim Dunlop black, right? And so we both found that same pick, yeah. And it's hard to find, sometimes you can find the gray ones, but it's a nylon pick.
I know.
Black, yeah. So here's a big advertising for Jim Dunlop black picks.
Oh, wait, how many millimeters is it?
It's a 1 millimeter pick.
Oh, one.
Yeah. So that's the one that it's now since I don't flat pick very much, it's really hard for me to play with other picks so much because I'm used to the kind of that amount of flex.
Is it Jim Dunlop too?
It's a Dunlop.
This is a Jim Dunlop.
Oh, yeah. But be sure it's the nylon one.
You want to trade?
Yeah, let me see.
You want to trade? Mine's probably in better shape than yours.
Oh, he's got it too. Look at that. Yeah, okay. All right, we just traded picks. All right. Okay. So, so you found that pick too. Excellent. So.
I got one.
Okay, great. Okay, so time to ask some questions. Okay, what is your name and what would you like to get out of the remaining time we have, or do you have a specific question?
Hey, I'm David.
David?
We used to live in Nashville. I got to see you several times, all-star guitar nights, jazz events and things like that. So
Great.
I am just absolutely thrilled that you're here.
Oh, thank you.
And thank you for making the stop in Dalton, because we've been living here for a few years. And this is quite a pleasure to get to see you here in Dalton. So I don't have a question. I'm just.
Okay, thank you, Nathan. Okay, great. And you are?
Yeah, my name's Daniel. I don't know the guitar that well, but I don't really have any questions. It's awesome.
Okay, I'll try to play something fun for you.
I'm Benjamin. I've been playing since I was younger. I'm a finger picker. I actually don't use a pick at all. And I'd like to learn how, but it just sounds so terrible when I try to use a pick. I do have one question though that I've been thinking of. So I don't know if you see, like when I play, I do it too much. Most pickers do like this sort of
Like
angle.
up and down? Okay,
I do too much of this type of angle.
right. Yeah,
And after several hours of that, really starts to mess with his wrist.
yeah, so that's, okay,
I'm
so,
wondering if you have tips in order to correct that.
yes. I didn't see that, but he's talking about is that, the normal angle is kind of hanging down like this, and he's just learned to play with so that the fingers are in line with the strings pretty much, which means that he's playing like this. So see how much energy that takes from those fingers. When you play this way, it's much less energy, and then the fingers can fall back to place all by themselves. It's gravity that pulls them down. So what I would do is rest your thumb on the sixth string, right? And then, and it doesn't have to be completely up and down. So find something to place right in between, okay, where it's comfortable for your hand still. And then I had to do this when I first started classical in college after playing since I was 8, right? And I had to figure out how to play with a good tone. And so when so I had to learn everything like from scratch. So I know where you are, you know, and I know that the process takes some time. So I had to play my arpeggios about this fast. And what I'm doing is I'm really concentrating, and after I play this note, I activate mostly from the big knuckle and just let the finger go very quickly, and then let it relax and fall down. And I wait until it's relaxed enough so it's fallen right into place, about an eighth of an inch from the string. It's going to play again. Then same thing with the middle, and then same thing with the ring. So I'm teaching this whole position. And so when you realize how easy this is going to be, because gravity is doing half the work for you. If you can, do you play with fingernails, Paul? No, okay, so you don't have to worry about that. If you play with fingernails, make sure the edge of the nail is sanded really, really smooth. Or if you play with press-on nails, make sure to trim the nails and sand them really smooth, okay? So I've done that too.
If I didn't buy my nails, that'd be very strong.
Yeah, okay. All right, so, but in either case, just let that relax, and then do that for a while, and then play one of your easy tunes. And yeah. And really slowly, and try to keep that same angle. And you'll find that as you think about other things, you'll move back to this, and then you got to go, oops, okay, you know, back to that way. So, you know, it takes a little while, and then you have to keep correcting yourself and until you find that. But there is a really relaxed position, and that'll be a little bit different for each person. It'll be where that hand falls more naturally, but you want to find it in a way that the fingers can just fall into position, all right? And it is worth the time to invest in that and get it to happen. So thanks for
Thank you
bringing
very
that up.
much.
Yeah.
Now,
So-
in line with that, I always play at this type of angle. You recommend more like this thing?
I use one of these neck ups, and so if you want to get one, let me know. They run about $50, or you can get them online.
Need that right now.
Yeah. And then so that just sets on my right. You can set it on either leg like this, but I find it's best for me on the right leg. That way my back can be straight and my hips can be straight. So and you can use a pillow or something to prop it up. But I think that's better than either right or left leg, is to prop it up with something like this. Yeah. So this is primarily for the back. So it puts the guitar in the right position so that your back is straight. And, you know, I don't have a sore back like I used to when I was younger. So that's one good thing about getting older, is you don't have a sore back anymore. Yeah. Yeah, so, and that's partly because of this.
I know what you're talking about. When I play classical, I'm always kind of twisted.
Yeah, right.
And it does, after you play for a while, it hurts.
Hurt your back. And yeah, I know some great classical players who have major back problems. Yeah. So this has been a real savior. So it's worth the $50, you know, for me. Sure.
What's his back surgery again?
What's the name of that?
Or what I got is one, probably. Oh, that's not good. Oh. What's this?
Do we have any questions from the Zoom people? not popping in yet? Okay. And then, so I know that you say you're not a guitarist, but do you have any question?
Well, he was asking what was that called? The little like thingy?
Oh, this thing? Neck up,
Yeah,
neck up. So it's neckup.com, or as I mentioned, I think I have an extra with me. And along those lines, don't forget to take your GHS strings before you leave. We have some free strings there, the lights, and there's a couple sets of extra lights and classical strings, so whichever one you want. And then those of you who are online, just send me an email, concert@murielanderson.com, and then I'll send you a set of strings. So be sure to include your mailing address, concert@murielanderson.com. Send your mailing address. So, and also put what type of string you want. Lights are what I usually use, bright bronze lights. I also have phosphor bronze lights, and or the classical strings. And they're my favorite strings. They just intonate really much better than any other strings I've tried, both the steel and the nylon. So, but they don't last forever. They're not the coated strings, but they certainly sound good when you put them on. Okay, and this gentleman here.
Hi, my name is Steve. You touched on a couple of things. It's kind of like posture and everything. I'm trying to flat pick. I tend to, I want to rest my hand to get it stable instead of keeping it off.
Yeah.
How much is that absolutely not something to do? And how do you control it better?
Myself, I like to have a floating anchor when I flat pick, so, and it's, so.
You say God wants it.
Yes.
So that-
like that. So it seems like everyone holds their pick in their hand a little differently. So if it's something that's causing your hand to cramp, then change it. But otherwise, do what's comfortable. So, and as I say, I'm not primarily a flat picker, so there might be a question for somebody else. But I say whatever works, do it.
I just find like I consider rest the heel of my hand on the bridge.
Oh.
And of course that makes it trembling and not.
Yes, however, if you rest the heel of your hand on your bridge, you will not get the power from the arm. So I do recommend that from the power from the arm, whether it's just in the air or if you have a floating anchor here. So I would say don't have a solid anchor like that, right? But have one that will move. So that allows you to get the motion and this depth of tone from the arm. Okay, and back here.
My name is Jeff. I just appreciate the fact you talked about finding the tone, working on a certain, looking for a tone. Sometimes you can play through a chord, sometimes a partial chord. You find things that fit. And sometimes you find them just by randomly experimenting.
Right.
And that's what's so amazing with it.
Yeah.
You don't have to be all that musically inclined, but then you hear something you like, you implement that.
Exactly.
You build on that. So.
You've got a great attitude towards that. Yeah, you experiment with it, you play with it, you have some fun with it, and see what works for you, and you make come up with your own way. And as I like to get inspiration from all of these players, I was not really hung up on playing every note the same note that they played. I was more interested in learning how they get the emotion into their music in different ways. And by the way, Christopher Parkening did the same kind of technique that Doc Watson and Bill Monroe's rhythm guitar player did, except for upside down, right? Because in getting the tone and the fingers, what he was doing is contacting the fingers and tipping them slightly so they're at an angle and slicing across the left shoulder. All right, so he's slicing up in this direction, they're slicing down in that direction, but it's the same concept of going across a string at a diagonal and to bring out the tone of the string. So kind of interesting to compare those.
So what was the name that you said that was basically like the other name?
Oh, Wayne Lewis was Christopher Parkening?
Christopher.
Parkening, yes. Parkening, yeah. And of course, Andre Segovia was also a great influence, but I really like the phrasing that Christopher Parkening had, because he would phrase things in long phrases, and Segovia would generally do more short phrases. So I was kind of more, I gravitated more towards Parkening's sense of phrasing. In general, there are some tunes that really worked with the way that Segovia played and interpreted.
I have a Zoom question.
We have a question?
From Connie Barnes. She's saying when she does an arrangement, she has a set arrangement that she works on and usually sticks to that. What's your feeling about sticking to an arrangement as opposed to having a light structure to the song and improvising each time through?
Okay, that's a great question. A set arrangement versus improvising on it. It depends on the tune. You know, a tune that's pretty open, like Memphis Blues, I might change a few things because it stays very much in the chord. But if I'm doing Close to You, which I worked off from the whole band's arrangement, I'm playing the same notes pretty much every time. But what I'm improvising on is the phrasing, the volume. I might get louder this time, then I'll get soft. And now I'll change the tone. Okay, now I'm going to leave these notes just a little bit lighter. I may change how much staccato I do. So that time I arpeggiate a little bit differently. Try to be real quiet on that little piano. Like. So it did a little strummy a bit that I don't always do. Now this key change, I decided to move my hand back a little bit to make a little brighter sound. So I'm thinking that this is the horns playing. I'm making kind of a little bit of a horn sound. Brighter there. Maybe I'll dance a little here. Play into those notes a little bit more. Okay, I just changed that. The notes, of course, talking and changing the notes at the same time. I'm just going to move ahead to this last section. Okay. There you go.
Yeah,
You still on?
haven't
All right, great. All right. Okay, so there, if I'm not improvising on the notes, I'm playing with the tone and the phrasing. And so I still have something to make it interesting for me every time I play, right? And I think that's one thing that's important. And you can do that at a really basic level, you know, if you're playing Wildwood Flower. And so you can decide to bring one part out louder and then bring one part out softer. And if you're changing the dynamics, how loud, how soft you're playing at different times, building it up and coming down, that sometimes helps you to pull the rest of the tune together. It helps to connect it somehow. And sometimes it even helps you to play the right notes, right? If you're thinking about the expression and the dynamics of it. So that's one thing that's kind of cool. I think I have, yeah. 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 Okay. Well, good, that's all connected. Nice, it's got a, and that brings it, no, there's a lot of songs that sound very similar. Yeah, and so incredible. Yeah. Yeah, I think you're home free on that. But what he did is brought in another aspect is playing with where on the beat you put that. So that had a nice little syncopation there towards the end, and playing with a metronome is a great thing, and I need to do that more because I don't play with. Yeah, I don't play with the drummer enough. So playing with someone or something that keeps the steady beat so that you can play with it. So you can play, having honed in my rhythm playing bluegrass, I tend to feel towards the front of the beat because that's what Wayne Lewis did. That's what I loved about the way he performed the band. It's push that strum right towards the front of the beat. And so now if I'm playing blues, I got to really put myself in a whole different mindset. Okay, back of the beat, right? So you got to pull to the back of the beat. And there's all sorts of different nuances of where in the beat to be. And one of them is right on the beat, right? So that's something that I think that, I either need to play with a drummer more often or use my electronic drummer, right? The metronome, right? And to really hone in those rhythms the way somebody like Victor Wooten has. Victor Wooten can play any part of the beat and will. He could even make the metronome swing. He can play on the swing of the beat, right? Yes, right. So he's a great inspiration for really honing rhythms. Oh, Tommy Emmanuel was a huge inspiration, and he has an infectious energy. And he also is very generous musically. He will give you space to play your part, and doesn't overplay when it's not time to overplay, and tears it up when it is. And so it's it's really an honor to play with such an accomplished player. I think he's the best there ever has been, as far as guitar playing. You can take guitar players across genres, and somebody's better at something, somebody's better at something else, and well, The stories and the music are inside, you know. And they're, most of them are really easy to make and just fantastically delicious, so.
What kind of microphones do you have to record yourself acoustically with the things like?
I use the,
Obviously, what?
the Dirk Bronner stereo microphone, so, yeah, so that, it took 2 European tours, euros cash to buy that. So that was a big investment, really fantastic microphone. Right? And I first heard one when I heard a recording of Tommy Emmanuel's, was in Germany. And I was, I said, how many microphones is it? One.
Yeah.
That was the wrong, that was a mic for me. It's picks up the musicality of the guitar, and not only the high bits. You know, some of the high-end microphones pick up too much of the highs and not the really beautiful parts. So that's what I like. Okay, well, thank you so much. And we do have the hang around a little bit. Do we have everyone's emails here? If we don't, send me an email, concert@murielanderson.com, and I'll send you a note when I'm coming back through. And I'll also send you the sheet music for Memphis Blues. So I'll go ahead and email Memphis Blues. All right, well, thank you so much, and thank you.